The old house stood on a hill, dark and ominous. Locals whispered tales, a haunted painting, they said. It hung in the attic. No one dared to go near. One day a group of friends decided to explore. They were young and foolish. Curiosity burned within them. They entered the house, their hearts pounding. Dust lay thick on the floor, cobwebs clung to the walls. The air was heavy and still. The friends coughed, their voices echoing in the silence. As they climbed the stairs, they heard a noise, a soft whisper, like a cold breath on their necks. They stopped, their blood turning to ice. The whispering grew louder, it seemed to be coming from the attic door. With trembling hands they opened the door. The wood groaned under the pressure, as if it hadn't been disturbed in decades. Each creak echoed through the silent hallway, amplifying the sense of dread that hung in the air. The door finally gave way, revealing the secrets it had guarded for so long. The attic was dark and dusty, cobwebs clung to every corner, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. Dust particles floated lazily in the dim light, disturbed by the sudden intrusion. It was a place forgotten by time, a relic of a past long gone. A single window cast an eerie glow on the far wall. The light struggled to penetrate the gloom, creating long, sinister shadows that danced across the floor. It was as if the room itself was alive, breathing in the darkness and exhaling fear. And there it hung, the haunted painting. Its frame was ornate, almost regal, but the image it contained was anything but. The eyes of the figure in the painting seemed to follow them, watching their every move with a malevolent gaze. The painting was covered by a white sheet. The fabric was old and yellowed, barely concealing the dark energy that radiated from beneath. It was as if the sheet itself was trying to protect the world from the evil it concealed. But even beneath the fabric, they could sense its evil. The air around it seemed to hum with a sinister energy, a palpable force that made their skin crawl. It was a warning, a sign that whatever lay beneath was not meant to be disturbed. It seemed to pulsate with a life of its own. The glow was faint but unmistakable, a rhythmic beat that matched the pounding of their hearts. It was as if the painting was alive, feeding off their fear and growing stronger with each passing moment. The whispering was coming from the painting, faint, almost inaudible, but undeniably there. Words that made no sense yet filled them with an overwhelming sense of dread. It was a voice from another world, calling out to them, beckoning them closer. They were sure of it. The painting was alive and it was watching them. Every instinct screamed at them to run, to leave this cursed place and never look back. But they couldn't move, paralyzed by the fear that gripped their hearts. The painting had them in its thrall, and there was no escape. Section 4. Unveiling the Horror. The forest was dense, the twilight casting long shadows that danced eerily on the foggy path. The air was thick with tension, every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs amplifying the sense of dread. One of the friends, unable to resist the pull any longer, stepped forward. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing in his ears like a drum. With trembling hands he reached out and slowly removed the sheet. The anticipation was palpable, the air around them growing colder with each passing second. As the cloth fell away, the painting was revealed, its surface glistening ominously in the dim light. The friends gasped in horror, their faces contorting in fear and disbelief. They had heard stories, whispers of a cursed painting hidden deep within these woods, but nothing could have prepared them for the sight before them. The painting depicted a scene of pure terror. Dark, twisted figures writhed in agony, their faces frozen in expressions of eternal torment. The colors were unnaturally vivid, almost as if the scene was alive and breathing. Suddenly a ghostly figure with glowing red eyes began to emerge from the canvas. It was as if the painting itself was coming to life, the figure's eyes burning with an unholy light. The friends could only watch in paralyzed horror as the figure reached out from the canvas. Its mouth was open in a silent scream, a scream that seemed to echo in their minds, filling them with an overwhelming sense of dread. The figure's expression was one of pure anguish, a reflection of the torment it had endured. The whispering intensified, morphing into a low growl that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the forest. The trees themselves seemed to shiver, their branches creaking and groaning as if in response to some unseen force. The friends knew they had to leave, but their feet felt rooted to the spot, the horror of the painting holding them in its thrall. Section 5. The Unseen Gaze. As they stared at the painting, they felt a presence in the room. It was an old, decrepit room, filled with the scent of mildew and the weight of forgotten memories. The painting, an ancient relic, seemed to pulse with a life of its own, drawing them in with an almost magnetic force. Something cold and unseen was watching them. The air grew thick with an unspoken tension, as if the very walls were whispering secrets of the past. The wind outside howled, rustling the leaves and casting eerie shadows that danced across the forest floor, mirroring the unease within the room. One by one, they felt their eyes drawn to those of the figure in the painting. The eyes, though painted, seemed to follow their every move, piercing through the veil of time and space. It was as if the figure within the frame was alive, its gaze penetrating their very soul. They tried to look away but they couldn't. Their muscles tensed and their breath quickened. It was as if an invisible force held them in place, compelling them to confront the haunting visage before them. The struggle was palpable, a battle of wills between the living and the spectral. It was as if the figure had them trapped in its gaze. The room grew colder. Frost began to form on the window panes, creeping inward like icy fingers. The temperature plummeted and their breath became visible, hanging in the air like ghostly apparitions. The chill was not just physical, it seeped into their very bones, a coldness that spoke of ancient sorrows and unfulfilled destinies. They were frozen in place, their hearts pounding in their chests. They were trapped. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of their own racing heartbeats. Each thud echoed in their ears, a reminder of their vulnerability and the inescapable grip of the unseen gaze. Trapped by the unseen gaze of the haunted painting. The eyes, glowing with an unnatural light, held them captive, a silent testament to the power of the unknown. The painting was not just a work of art, it was a portal to another realm, a realm where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred and where the unseen gaze held dominion over all who dared to look upon it.